Today we're discussing the impact of minority voters, turnover at the county commission, and the return of the Hornets. I'm Carlton Hargrove, and this is 282. All right, folks, thank you for joining us for another exciting episode of 282. Once again, we've got a great discussion coming your way, and once again, we've got a great group of panelists to talk about these provocative and interesting topics. And as always, we're joined by 282 producer Jarvis Holliday, who is perched in what I'm calling today the lighthouse. Jarvis, what's up, man?
The lighthouse.
The lighthouse.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching the show live during our live stream, you can follow us on Twitter at 282TV and tweet us your comments using hashtag 282TV, and we'll incorporate it in the show.
Thank you, Jarvis. Thank you very much. As I said, we've got a great group. Actually, it's one of the best dressed groups that we've ever had, and you will soon see that. So let me introduce everybody. First up, we got Rod Garvin, who is the chairman of the local organizer committee. Are you the chairman?
I wouldn't take on that title.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, you're on the local organizer committee.
I'm on the leadership committee.
The leadership
for the
committee
Hip Hop Caucus in
for
Charlotte.
the Hip Hop Caucus. Thank you. Okay, sorry I messed that up.
That's all right.
And whoever's the chairman, he didn't
Maybe
lie
we'll
to me.
get a chairman at some point.
Okay. Amanda Raymond, who is executive producer of the League of Women Voters Debates.
Yes.
Those are coming up. All right.
They are coming.
And we've also got John Morgan, who is the proprietor of a Facebook page and a movement called We Believe, which is trying to bring the Hornets back to Charlotte.
Two E's.
Two E's, like B. Okay, all right. Very creative. Thank you very much for coming, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you for all these great outfits. Rod, let's start with you, conservatively dressed, but with the Hip Hop Caucus. But I do. Let's just say this, okay? Right now, we're embroiled in the GOP, primary that's going on and on. But soon the general election will be here, and it'll be time for President Obama to step in the arena and the contest. Now, last time in 2008 when he ran, minority voters were a big reason why he got success, especially in North Carolina, Mecklenburg County. Now, this time around, what do you feel like the impact is going to be for minority voters on this campaign?
Well,
or just the presidential election in general?
Well, you made a good point. The minority impact among African Americans and Latinos was very important in 2008. It will be important again in this election cycle in 2012, and could very well help determine which way the election goes, particularly on a national level, and even here within our state, within North Carolina. We think about the governor's race and other races that we have.
Right.
Just to talk a little bit about the Hip Hop Caucus in particular.
I was going to ask you that.
Okay, great.
That was my next question.
I was going to make sure I plug that.
Please.
It is a national nonprofit organization that organizes young people to be active in elections, policymaking, and service projects. It was started in 2004 by Reverend Lennox Yearwood. They're based in D.C. In 2008, they started the Respect My Vote campaign.
Oh, that was that.
Which was the effort to especially target 18 to 40-year-olds across the board, but definitely looking at African Americans and minorities as well.
Okay.
We want to continue that again this year. April 4th will be the national launch date for Respect My Vote in the 2012 election cycle.
Okay.
And on March 7th, we're going to do a communications and social media blitz around the Selma to Montgomery March. March 7th will actually be the anniversary of the march from Selma to Montgomery, also known as Bloody Sunday. Congressman John Lewis was one of the heroes that was involved in that movement. We want to highlight the fact that voting rights is something that's an important part of our legacy as Americans, but we're still struggling to make sure that voting rights are protected and people are aware of their voting rights and exercising those.
Well, let me ask you this, and then I kind of want to go around. I guess there was a big Democratic wave that came in 2008 with the success of Obama's organizing, efforts. And I kind of wonder, what are your sentiments about the feeling among minority voters? Are they still impassioned, or has it kind of waned a little bit with just the running of the government?
That's a good question. There's been, a lot of chatter about how engaged are Obama's biggest supporters. African Americans consistently, despite the ups and downs, have continued to support him
right,
considerably, and oftentimes more than other groups. But that's definitely something that the president or no politician can take for granted.
right, right.
The work still has to be done, the organizing, the grassroots outreach. Interestingly enough, in 2008, out of those African Americans who were registered, 93% voted.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's significant. We know if we register people, the chances are high that they're going to vote.
Okay.
Now, the problem is, if you look at another statistic, there's about 25 million registered African American voters, or 25 million that are eligible
Right.
To register. And we still have over 7,500,000 that are not registered.
Okay.
So that's a significant number of people that we can target, and we plan on reaching out to.
Well,
to respect my vote.
Let me pass this around. Amanda, what are your thoughts about just the engagement and interest level of minority voters? I mean, from just from your own perspective.
I think it depends on the race.
Okay.
I think it depends on. I think it's probably going to depend a lot on who, if we're talking about the presidential race, who the Republican nominee ends up to be.
Right.
I think.
Well, I think you brought up a good thing. I mean, an interesting point about the difference in races. And if you look at Latino voters, the first time around, there was sort of the unknown, like, here's somebody who could possibly champion our causes. And I think 4 years later, or whatever, I don't know how much movement there has been on their causes. And I mean, do you think that because there hasn't been much movement in that area, that Latinos may kind of back away?
Well,
and maybe then just vote for Ron Paul or somebody? That's a joke.
I personally think that it's really hard, when you're talking about Obama and you're talking about, I don't know that there's the same level of excitement and there's the same level of interest that there was in 4 years ago.
Right.
And I think that's almost impossible to recapture.
Right.
It's, that was sort of a sea change. There was a new politician basically coming on the scene.
Right, right.
And people get excited about that. But then, the day-to-day workings of politics take a toll on any politician.
Right.
And I think you have to really be able to step up a campaign that is difficult to manage, particularly that second time around. I mean, to get people out and to make sure they go to the polls, like he's talking about. I mean, 93% of the people, African Americans, came to the polls, but is there a way to get them back this time? I don't know. I don't know that you can.
Let me ask you a question, John. I mean, you look like a pretty young guy, and I'm wondering.
A little young.
I'm wondering, the Hip Hop Caucus, when we talk about minorities, I mean, I'm personally throwing the youth vote in there. I don't know if that's what everybody else is doing.
But it's definitely a multicultural coalition.
Yeah. I kind of wonder, what are your thoughts as far as from the people what are you hearing, and maybe your own personal feelings about the youth vote turnout this time around?
It's frustrating to me. It's disheartening to hear that, young people and minorities are somehow disappointed or disillusioned in President Obama's performance to this point, because they're basically seeing the sausage get made. They're seeing what he's up against.
Right.
And in my opinion, I'm supposed to be kind of apolitical in my whole endeavor here, but I mean,
Tell
if
us
I
how
have
you
my
feel.
own opinion,
Yeah.
I think he's sort of transcended all that stuff. So, I think as you get closer to the convention, especially locally here, you're going to see people get reinvigorated. And like she was saying, you're not going to have that first burst of enthusiasm that you had initially, but I don't know. Makes sense to me that there's going to be a little decline in enthusiasm initially, but I don't think that's going to be something that should be a problem.
Okay. Rod, let me ask you this too. There's been a kind of a wave of voter ID, laws trying to be passed here and other states, and that proportionally kind of affects Democrats, minorities in particular, who may not have access to getting, IDs, because, you have to get a new ID in order to vote and things like that. How do you think do you feel like these initiatives are in the front against the Democrats, or are they just people actually concerned about voter fraud?
Thanks for raising that question.
You're welcome.
So you're a great host. So there are some ID laws that have been on the books, and new ones are being added in certain states. In some states, you're seeing a a requirement for citizenship, individuals having to show proof of citizenship. Other states, such as South Carolina, are requiring government-issued IDs. From a hip-hop caucus perspective, and definitely from the perspective of many progressives, those types of initiatives are considered to be forms of voter suppression.
Right.
Because we know that when you make voting more restrictive, no matter what the measure is, voting decreases.
Right.
We also know that, certain political parties benefit when there's a greater turnout, and there may be a certain political party that benefits when there's a lower turnout. So
name names.
I can't do that.
Okay.
So I'll let people make of that what they will.
Right.
But as far as the hip hop caucus, we're in favor of keeping voting as open as possible.
Okay.
It also could be said that with these voter ID initiatives, it's a solution in search of a problem.
Yes.
Issues of voter fraud are extremely small.
Right.
Very rare. It's not a major problem. So we have to question what the motives are behind some of these initiatives.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to switch gears. We could talk on and on and on about this, but Super Tuesday is tomorrow, and there's like 10 states in that. And I think the GOP primary for North Carolina comes up in like May or something like that. So, we'll see how everything progresses. But speaking of elections, there's some other election-oriented issues going on out there, particularly with the I missaid particularly with the county commission. Now, there's been a big turnover there. There are 3 at-large seats that are, freeing up. When Sue Myrick decided not to run for the 9th congressional district, Jim Pendergraft and Jennifer Roberts decided to try to seek that, so they're leaving their posts. And Harold Cogdell, who is a very interesting guy, we will talk about him more. He has decided not to seek re-election, and he's not even a Democrat anymore. Left the party. So it's a lot of excitement going on, And I'll direct this first question to you, Amanda. I kind of want to know, what do you think? First off, just give me your ideas about how do you feel about all this turnover and excitement with the county commission. And when I say excitement, I don't mean that in a good way. It's a lot of stuff.
Well, I think long-term it could be good.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Right now, we have 12 Democrats, 1 Libertarian, and 4 Republicans signed on to run for the 3 vacated at-large seats.
Wow.
So, and almost none of those have held an office before.
Oh, wow.
Of any sort, local, state, whatever. So it's going to impact this area and I think politics for a long time, because these are the people that will in the future be the leaders.
Right.
And even those that don't win will probably come back to run again in the future. And so these are going to be, when we're looking at these names, and none of them you've probably heard of, or very few of them have you heard of before.
Right.
Those are going to be the new names. They're going to be the new Jennifer Roberts, the new Harold Cogdell, the Jim Pendergraft. And I think it's going to move. And we don't know really where that's going to turn out, but things are going to start moving.
Well, how do you feel? Well, let's talk about some of the people like Jennifer Roberts and Jim Pendergraft. What are Jennifer Roberts and Jim Pendergraft's chances to win that 9th district seat?
Well, Jennifer Roberts obviously is going uphill.
You think so? Why? I mean,
obviously
was
that's
there,
it.
Jennifer,
obviously it's a heavily Republican district, and it was redistricted a little bit so that it's more.
Does anybody
Republican.
know why she's running? Is it just nothing? Is this like the next stepping stone?
I have not asked her about it, but I assume that the assumption is that she's moving into the next phase. And if she, one of the ways people set themselves up for the next phase or first phase in political life is to run a campaign. Even if you lose that one, you're sort of setting yourself up for the next level. Okay. And I suspect that's where she is. I think Jim Pendergraft, on the other side, is hoping to win.
Because he's already got an endorsement from Sue Myrick. She's kind of behind him.
Yes.
Let's talk about somebody who's been setting themselves up before something different. Is Harold Cogdell. It's kind of a unfolding soap opera to a certain degree, and now he's unaffiliated.
Right.
He's not running.
Yes.
And this is after he ousted Jennifer Roberts from her chair of the county commission. which is he teamed up with the Republicans to do this. Right. How are voters responding to this? I mean, how do people feel that voted for him in the first place as a Democrat? So, I mean, I want to get you to respond, and I want to get you, and then I want you to jump in, too. So,
well, I mean, I think those people that voted for him expected him to pursue the Democratic line.
Right.
And I think there is a lot of question as to what was happening along the way. Yeah. Was he really pursuing what he had told his electorate that he was going to be pursuing?
Right.
Did he move in that direction, or was he all the time thinking about moving to a different place? I don't know the answer to that. I'm really curious to see where he goes from here. Right. I suspect he's had to have some reason, but I don't know what it is.
Rod, I want you to jump in on this. What are your thoughts about voter response to Harold Cogdell's, moves, his recent moves?
Well, I'm going to use the move of a true pundit and not answer your question directly.
What? This is like a Mitt. Who did that? Mitt Romney? I'm answering another question, not this one.
I'm not going to speak to Commissioner Cogdell directly, but I will say that in a larger sense, I think this is a great opportunity for new leadership to step up, for new people to get involved in the political process. It's great that we have established political leaders who are seeking to serve on a higher level, and that opens up the process.
You dodged that really good. John, what are your thoughts just about, just what's going on in the county commission right now?
I mean, personally, I'm going to miss Mr. Cogdell just following it in the Observer every day. It's exciting stuff. It's like a soap opera.
It is, man. It's very exciting stuff.
Dallas or something.
And, you brought up what's next for him. What could what could he do next?
It seems...
politically,
politically, I don't have to. I guess I don't have to dodge questions because I'm not really a pundit.
Yeah,
so.
Go for it.
No, it seems to me, just as an outsider looking in, he's burnt some bridges in both directions. He might be on an island there now.
Yeah, he's burnt. I think he has burnt some bridges. Jennifer Roberts had an interesting comment about him in the Observer. I mean, I think that people that used to be his allies in the past, he has definitely isolated himself. But what do you think he can do next politically? What could he feasibly, if he ever, because he hasn't ruled that out. He just said in the immediate future. But what could his political future be?
I don't know what his political future can be.
Okay.
How's that? It's tough to run as an independent.
Right.
And to have left the Democratic Party, he'd have a hard time going back. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, would he move to the Republican Party? It might be hard to win an office under the Republican title as well. Right. So I don't know. I mean, he has said that he didn't have an intention of going back into politics, but we'll see. I don't know.
Well, let me ask this last question. We'll get off the Harold Cogdell train, but I do want to ask you, what do you feel like all this turnover and changes, how that affects county policies? I mean, the budget is coming up again. I mean, this is a lame duck session. I mean, will anything significant happen that impacts us in a positive way?
Well, I mean, you can look at it two ways. You can either say they're going to sit back and just sort of wait for the calendar to pass, or maybe there are going to be some new initiatives that come on board that would not have come on board if they were expecting to be there,
right,
and next year.
Well, you brought up that this is pretty much, they were inexperienced bunch in general. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like they will sort of be fit to lead, especially in a time like this where we've seen all kind of crazy budget cuts, has affected schools and libraries and things like that? So, I mean, will they be ready to take the reins?
Well, that remains to be seen. I think we'll have to see when, the thing is, this is a really short election cycle. So right, they just filed, most of them last week or week before, and the primaries on May 8th. They have a short period of time to prove what their plan is.
Right,
and so we don't know, and I think it'll be interesting in the next few weeks. I think we'll start hearing what the plan is for each of these candidates, and then we'll know.
All right, let's check in with the Lighthouse. I think we've got some bright words over there. What you got, Jarvis?
Yeah, most of our viewers don't seem too interested in politics, but they have a lot to say about the Hornets. So that's coming up.
It's coming up next.
At Matthew R. Vinson, concerning the Cogdell issue, says, Cogdell issues about party politics, not policy. Compromise is tough in today's climate. Party affiliation can hurt us. So I'll check back with you guys in a few minutes when we let's talk about the Hornets and Bobcats.
And I just got a word from God that Matthew Vincent was a past guest on the show. I don't exactly remember that because I'm bad with names and stuff. The food guy, that's right. Okay. Thank you, God, for all that. All right, so let's switch gears and let's talk about your campaign that you have going on.
Yes,
well, you know, I guess there's the sale of the Hornets is coming up, and there's a possibility that we could actually that they will be done with a mascot in the name, and that maybe we could get it back, and maybe Charlotte, the Bobcats, can become the Hornets once again. So
That's the hope.
this is your campaign. I want to ask you, why do you want this in the first place?
Why not? You know, if we first of all, you know, a lot of people are coming at this from the negative perspective. You know, like, oh, you got this team, you got the Bobcats, rally behind them. You know, it's not about that. Our concern is there won't be a Bobcats to support in 10 years if a change isn't made. You know, and the whole initiative to get the Hornets name back, if it becomes available, is you know, supports just that theory, just that idea that, you know, we are civic-minded Charlotte fans first and foremost,
Right.
And we want to do what we can to support our town and our team.
Well, tell me what you're doing to you know, promote this.
Well, we have the Facebook page.
Yes.
We Believe, 2 E's, as I said. Charlotte, Take Back Your Hornets. There is a website run by some friends I've met through this whole process called BringBackTheBuzz.com.
Okay.
That's getting out there. We're on Twitter. We do the whole thing. You know, you can go to any of those pages and find it.
What is this about?
The Swarm Time Warner event. That's sort of our opening salvo in this whole deal, taking it off the computer into the streets, and we're trying to plan to go to the Bobcats Nuggets game March 30th. It's a Friday night, so you're gonna be going out anyway. You might as well come do it with us. Everybody breaks out their old teal and purple, or
you got some T-shirts.
I got some T-shirts.
Oh wow!
I can't take credit for these.
You got
these,
a triple X.
This is triple
double
X.
wide
This is
for
a
me?
medium. You know, I like to be form-fitting. But we got those. We got these. You can go to Blanks, BLANX, on Facebook, and there's a guy out of Concord making these up. We got all kinds of things. Every day something new pops up, man.
Look, let me send this around. Rod, getting back the Hornets name, getting back a new mascot, is this gonna make them play any better? I just want to know.
Yeah, I grew up in Michigan, but I have a lot of family in Charlotte and the Gastonia area. So when the Hornets first came to Charlotte, I think I was in middle school or something like that. And I got to see some of those early games. And I remember the excitement. I understand the nostalgia. Really, from my perspective, whatever is ultimately going to be best for the city and for the NBA franchise that's here.
Right.
So Michael Jordan and the leadership of the Bobcats, if this grassroots effort, you know, persuades them to make a change that's positive for everybody, I'm personally open to it.
Okay.
I think there could be a lot of positives.
All right, Amanda, you a Bobcats fan, Hornets fan? Where do you stand on this issue?
I have to say I'm not a huge basketball
come
fan.
on.
But,
You know, I'm not
but,
either.
So pick a side. Choose the Hornets right now, right?
I mean, to be honest with you, I sort of like the Hornets, and I like all of the media stuff that goes along with the Hornets. It's a little more appealing
You're from
than
Texas,
Bobcats.
right?
I am from Texas.
Fan?
I am a football fan.
Football fan. Okay, all right.
So, but I think, you know, if it makes them play better, well, let's go with that.
That's one thing, though. You know, as far as playing, but we got to eventually win one way or the other. We're not questioning that. My concern is, you know, our concern is that people in this town care about us when we win, when we lose, you know. And I say we because I consider myself a Bobcats fan. You know, I'm just, you know, it's the only thing worse than negativity, because if you're negative towards something, that means you at least care about it.
Right.
Apathy.
So you think
negative.
right now there's apathy for the Bobcats?
We're 4-31 right now, I think. You know, we got Williams dropped 57 on us last night. And I was driving in here. All I heard anybody talking about was Duke, Carolina. That's apathy.
Yeah. Wait, let me, the Lighthouse, you said we had some sports fans over there, Jarvis. What do they have to say?
Yes, we have several tweets, comments from our followers. At K. Conrad since '84, Bobcats will only sell merchandise if they win. Hornets brand will sell gear either way. Pound, no brainer.
Thanks for that pound.
Sadly, at Blind Travel says, sadly, it won't make them any better when asked if we should bring the Hornets name back to the Bobcats.
Okay.
At ZZAZAZZ, I think he's asleep. He says, Heck yes, politically correct there. At least the name Hornets has a true regional association and is not a tribute to the previous owner's ego, referring to the belief that the Bobcats were named after former owner Bob Johnson. At Tree Meditation, yes, instant fan base of old school Hornets fans should instant fan base of old school Hornet fans. And then we'll take one from our Facebook page. Danny Brockington. The Bobcats name wouldn't be so bad if it weren't just a corny and now completely not even appropriate vanity plate for Bob Johnson. I mean, they're selling neo-vintage Hornets gear in Urban Outfitters now, so people too young to remember the last time we had a winning team would probably be all for it. So it's an overwhelming support for the name Hornets to come back.
Got some smart viewers, man.
I know, man.
Good taste.
Well, so what's the date again of this event? And
This is March 30th, Friday night. Denver Nuggets get to see, all your best pals.
Okay.
Teal and purple. Spread the word. There's an invite on the Facebook page.
Okay.
All the details.
Wonderful.
Section 222 is
Okay.
where we're starting, and then we're just going around.
We're going to do a lightning round, and I want you to, if you have something, jump in. If you don't, we can pass on this. But what's the most unreported or underreported story of last week? Rod?
Well, I think it technically may still be this week, but I definitely wanted to acknowledge Rabbi Judy Schindler, who was just named the 2011 Woman of the Year.
Oh, wow.
She's been a big advocate for interfaith initiatives, and she's been a big social justice advocate.
Okay.
And I've had an opportunity to work with her. So congratulations to her.
Very good. Amanda?
I'm going to pass on this.
You going to pass on that? All right. You want to plug your event again?
Yeah, come March 30th. As far as things that are underreported, and the Observer should talk more about Davy Jones time. That made me sad.
Yeah. No, I'm a big Monkees fan.
Yeah, man.
But so many people have been down.
I didn't know we could pass. I would have passed too.
No, man. No, Davy Jones is
He
good.
told me we could pass.
Anyway, thank you very
well,
much,
listen.
folks. I appreciate y'all coming out. Thank you for all the great outfits. I'm Carlton Hargrove. Thank you for joining us. Come back next week. We'll have another show, more topics, more outfits. It's going to be great. Thank you.